For those who don't know, His Grace is Stambha Prabhu. He is the disciple of His Holiness Devamirta Maharaj, and Prabhu is based in Auckland, the moment, and doing lots of preaching and book distribution as well. We have seen him in the temple, so he is not a unknown devotee. So once again, Prabhu, thank you so much, and all over to you now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Om Agyanatimarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karochi Vachalam Pangun Lagate Gurim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So first of all, I'd like to thank Krishna Chandra Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to speak and the opportunity for self-purification by glorifying the pure devotees of the Lord. So this evening, we're going to discuss some Gora Leela. We're going to specifically talk about one very dear, intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya called Gauri Das Pandit. And then we'll also discuss later on, as advertised, the glorious life of Shyamananda Pandit. And they are connected. You'll find out later. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami so eloquently describes in the 9th chapter of Adi Leela the Bhakti Kalpataru, the desire tree of the devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he simultaneously manifested as the trunk of the tree and also the gardener. The Lord's purpose for descending in this world was to taste the fruits of love of God, the fruits of Krishna Prema, and to distribute them. Krishna Prema Pradayate, to distribute love of God. Kaviraj Goswami also describes about the anxiety the Lord was experiencing. He said that it's just me on my own. How many fruits can I pick? How many fruits can I distribute? And the Lord was in anxiety. Yes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead experiences anxiety. In fact, Srila Rupa Goswami describes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that this is called chinta. It's one of the vyabhichari bhavs that one experiences, the spiritual anxiety. So, as the Lord appeared in this world to distribute love of God, the fruits of love of God, similarly, his associates came to assist him. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya manifests as the trunk of the tree, and therefore that tree manifests thousands and thousands of branches, thousands and thousands of sub-branches. When we see fruits come from a tree, they never come from the trunk of the tree. They always manifest on the branches. Srila Prabhupada explains in one purport there that actually the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is one of the branches of the Chaitanya tree. And we are distributing those fruits of Krishna Prema, those fruits of love of God, through two instruments, the Lagu Mridanga and the Brihat Mridanga. Right? Through the Lagu Mridanga, we distribute Harinam, the name and the fruits of love of God. And through the Brihat Mridanga, we distribute the name through the printing press, through distribution of transcendental literature. So Kaviraj Goswami explains that at the very top of this Chaitanya tree, there is a very, very strong branch. Sri Nityananda Vrikshara Skanda Gurutara. That this very strong branch is called, heavy branch, is called Sri Nityananda. And just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears with his personal associates, similarly Nityananda Prabhu also has his associates. Those associates are called Dvadash Gopal, the 12 principal cowherd boyfriends from Vrindavan. And Srila Kavi Karnapur describes in his Gauragana Deshadipika that Subal Saka appears as Gauridas Pandit in Chaitanya Leela. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami describes that the friends of Krishna are called Vaisyas. That just as there are friends of Krishna in Vrindavan, there are also friends of Krishna outside of Vrindavan, such as Arjuna, one of the Pandavas, and Bhimasen. But in Vrindavan, the Vaisyas are categorized into four sections, categories. So there's the Surit, the well-wishing friends of Krishna, who are slightly older than Krishna, and their friendship is mixed with some Vatsalya ras, some parental affection. Excuse me. These headed, the leaders of the Surit friends are Mandalibhadra and Balabhadra. Then there are the Sakas, the friends of Krishna headed by Devaprastha. And then there are the Priya Sakas, headed by Sridharma, Sudama. These names that we are somewhat familiar with. And then there is a fourth category called the Priya Narma Sakas. Now these Priya Narma Sakas are the, the most intimate, confidential friends of Krishna. And the leaders of the Priya Narma Sakas are Subal and Ujvala. And excuse me. So these, it's described how Subala is such an intimate friend of Krishna that when he is speaking with Krishna, no one else can understand what they are speaking. He has such an intimate connection. It's described how Subal, his eyes are very beautiful like a lotus petals. Oh dear. Excuse me, got something in my throat. So his body complexion is golden, like molten gold. And he wears yellow cloth, and he's always adorned with a beautiful garland of forest flowers. So to give you an idea of the service that Subal renders to Krishna, One time, a friend of Srimati Radharani was telling her friend, she said, "Oh, Krishnangi, oh delicate one, just see how Subal is whispering your message into the ear of Krishna." Just see how he is delivering the betel nuts prepared by Palika into the mouth of Krishna. Just see how he is decorating the body of Krishna with the garlands prepared by Taraka. And he is delivering the confidential letter from Shyamadasi into the hand of Krishna. I apologize. I got something in my throat. Let's try. So when Krishna left Vrindavan, Subal could not tolerate the pangs of separation. And without Krishna and Vrindavan he could not tolerate it. There was nothing left in Vrindavan for Subal when Krishna left. Vrindavan became like a flower without nectar for a bumblebee. He just had to leave. Therefore, he left Vrindavan as well. So Gauridas Pandit appeared in the village of Ambika Kalna, not far from Mayapur. His father's name was Kangsari Mishra, and his mother's name was Kamala Dasi. They had 6 sons, of which Gauridas was the 4th. Gauridas Pandit had an elder brother called Suryadas Sakel. He is very famous. He had 2 daughters named Janavi and Vasudhara, who then became the wives of Sri Nityananda Ram. So Gauridas Pandit was the uncle of Janavi Mata. It's a very exalted position. He was a grihasta and married Bimala Devi. And Bhakti Ratnakar explains that one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to visit Gauridas Pandit at Ambika Kalna. And he went to Shantipur and got a boat across the Ganga to see Gauridas Pandit. And when he got off the boat, he took the paddle with him to go and see Gauridas. And when he got to the home of Gauridas Pandit, he saw Gauridas Pandit and he said, "Look, I have come across the Ganga on a boat and I have this paddle with me. I give this paddle to you. But with this paddle, I want you to cross over the river of material existence and take all the conditioned souls with you." And actually that paddle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Gauridas Pandit, that is preserved. And that is still at the house of Gauridas Pandit. Along with that paddle, there is one copy of the Bhagavad Gita. That Bhagavad Gita was personally copied by the hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and it was given as a gift to Gaudidas Pandit, and that is preserved there as well. I would like to see that one day. So before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he visited Gauridas Pandit. So I can keep going for some time. Thank you, Prabhu. I'll take some water. So before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he visited Gauridas Pandit again with Lord Nityananda. And he stayed with Gauridas Pandit for some days. And Gauridas Pandit could foresee that very soon the Lord would be leaving his home and taking sannyas. So he begged Lord Chaitanya to stay. And the Lord, out of his mercy to Gauridas Pandit, it said that Lord Chaitanya, he personally carved with his own hands deities of himself and Lord Nityananda from a neem tree and gave them to Gauridas Pandit to worship. So Gauridas Pandit, he worshipped these deities as his very life and soul. He had such an intimate relationship with these deities that he would speak very intimately with them. He would discuss Shastra with them. He was so attached to them, he wouldn't let anyone else worship them. And he would cook all sorts of delicious foodstuffs for them. When Gauridas Pandit would offer bhoga to the Lord, that when we offer bhoga to the Lord accepts it and he invests his spiritual potency within the foodstuffs, and then we take the remnants. But when Gauridas Pandit was offering that bhoga to the Lord would physically, in his deity form, come and take that offering and eat it himself. And Gauridas Pandit, he was a very poor Vaishnav, he didn't have much money at all. And he had a very strong desire to dress their lordships in very opulent clothing and jewelry. And the Lord, being the omniscient Lord, he could understand the heart of Gauridas Pandit. And Lord Chaitanya, he manifested all these ornaments and very opulent jewels and pearls and beautifully embroidered outfits. And Gauridas Pandit came back and had darshan of it. He could not, where did all this opulence come from? He was astonished. So Gauridas Pandit, he had one disciple called Chaitanya Das. And this, he was very, very dear disciple of Gauridas Pandit. And one time, Chaitanya Das, he organized a Maha Sankirtan festival. That was he organized the Maha Sankirtan festival. And devotees from all around the area came for this festival. And they were dancing in ecstatic emotion. They were with wild abandon. They were, they completely lost all conception of time and place. And this kirtan was so uproarious and so ecstatic that the sound could be heard in Ambika Kalna. And the deities, they gornitai, they could not contain their ecstasy, and they jumped off the altar and ran to the festival. And Goridas Pandit, he came into his temple to have darshan, and he saw that Gornitai had disappeared. Where had they gone? So he went outside and he saw Gornitai running off in the distance. He grabbed a stick and it chased them. Where are you going? Come back here. You can't leave. And he ran, chased Gornitai to the festival. And Gornitai turned around and they saw Goridas Pandit coming with a stick. Come back here. Come back. Where are you going? And Gornitai, they became afraid and said, we got to hide. We've got to find somewhere to hide. You know, so they turned around and the first person they saw was Chaitanya Das, this disciple of Goridas Pandit. And therefore, Gornitai, they entered the body of Chaitanya Das. They entered into his heart. And when Goridas Pandit saw this, he was completely astonished. So what a fortunate disciple, what a fortunate person you are. He said he embraced Chaitanya Das. And he said, from this day on, your name will be Hriday Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya has entered your heart. Now, this Hriday Chaitanya, some of you may be knowing that he is the Diksha Guru of Shyamananda Pandit. Yes. So, Shyamananda Pandit was born or appeared in this world from his father, Sri Krishna Mandal and Sri Daruki Devi in Durendra Dahadpur on the full moon day of the month of Chaitra. Their parents were astounded with the beauty of this boy. He exhibited all the symptoms of a Mahapurush. And said that as he grew up, his body was defeating the beauty of Cupid. And when he went to school, the scholars were just astounded at the level of his intelligence. Very quickly, he learned Sanskrit grammar, poetry, rhetoric. This, and his father was also a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And when he received news from the local scholars about the exceptional intelligence of Shyamananda, actually he was named Dukhi. When he was born, he was named Dukhi. And so his father, Sri Krishna Mandal, approached his son and said, you know, you should take Diksha. You know, you should find a spiritual master and take Diksha from him. And Dukhi said, yes, I have someone in mind who I'd like to take shelter of, who I'd like to take initiation from. His name is Hriday Chaitanya. He lives in Ambika Kalna. And Shri Krishna Mandal, he said, Ambika Kalna, that's very far away. How will you get there? And Duki said, soon there are some devotees, many devotees actually, they will go to take bath in the Ganga. I will go with them. And in that way, I will be safe and I will find Ambika Kalna. So that's what happened. after some deep consideration, Sri Krishna Mandal, Duki's father, gave him permission to go. So when Duki arrived in Ambika Kalna, he was asking the local people, where can he find Hriday Chaitanya? And they directed him to the house of Glories Pandit. There he found Hriday Chaitanya sitting in the courtyard of the house of Glories Pandit. And immediately Duki, he prostrated himself, Dandavat obeisances at the lotus feet of Hriday Chaitanya. And when he got up, Hriday Chaitanya said, who are you? And Duki explained that, I'm the son of Sri Krishna Mandal and Sri Durika Devi. I've come here to take Diksha from you. And Hriday Chaitanya was very happy that he had come, and he gave him Diksha. And he said, from this day on, your name will be Krishnadas. And therefore, he was known as Duki Krishna, Duki Krishnadas. So after some time, seeing Duki Krishna Das excelling in his study of the Bhakti Shastras, Hriday Chaitanya, he decided to send Duki Krishna to Vrindavan to take shelter of Jiva Goswami. At that point in time, Jiva Goswami was considered to be the most learned scholar, the foremost scholar in the Bhakti Shastras of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So Hriday Chaitanya only wanted the best for his disciple. So he gave Duki Krishnadas the instruction to go to Vrindavan, take shelter and guidance and instruction from Jiva Goswami. So that's exactly what he did. On an auspicious day, he left his spiritual master, left Ambika Kalna, and he traveled first to Navadvip to have darshan of the house of Jagannath Mishra. Then he went on to Varanasi to have darshan of Tapana Mishra. And then from there, he went to Vrindavan. When he reached Vrindavan, he was asking the local Vaishnavas where he could find the Bhajan Kutir of Jiva Goswami. And when he found the Bhajan Kutir of Jiva Goswami, he walked in and offered his prostrated obeisances at the lotus feet of Jiva, Sri Jiva. When he got up, Sri Jiva inquired about who he was, and he explained, I'm the disciple of Hriday Chaitanya. My Guru Maharaj has sent me to take shiksha from you. And Jiva Goswami was very happy, because Hriday Chaitanya had sent a message to Jiva Goswami explaining about about Duki Krishna excelling in his studies with a very intelligent young man. And he wanted Dukhi Krishna to take shelter of Jiva Goswami to further his studies, to become more advanced in his studies on the Bhakti Shastras. So at around the same time that Dukhi Krishna arrived in Vrindavan, there was also Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya also arrived. They all arrived around the same time. And they became very intimate friends. And they all excelled in their studies. So along with studying the Shastra under Jiva Goswami, they also were rendering menial service. And one service that Jiva Goswami gave to Dukhi Krishna Das was to sweep the Kalpa Kunja Kutir, or Kalpa Kunja. Now, this is a place, Tirtha, in between the Radha Damodar Mandir and the Radha Shamsundar Mandir in Vrindavan. It's a very sacred place where Radha and Krishna, they perform very confidential Leela. Actually, Ras Leela happens there. And one night, Radha and Krishna, or Krishna and the gopis, they were performing Rasa Leela there. And Radharani's ankle bracelet fell off during the dancing, the vigorous dancing. And when Radharani got back home, she realized, oh, my ankle bracelet is gone. You know, so she said, Lalita Saki, can you please go and retrieve my bracelet, my ankle bracelet? It fell off during dancing. So as Radharani realized that her ankle bracelet was missing, at that time, Dukhi Krishna Das, he came to Kalpa Kunj, and he was his service that Jiva Goswami gave him was to sweep that area. So as he was cleansing the area, he came across this beautiful, effulgent golden bracelet. And he picked up that bracelet and held it to his heart. And ecstatic eruptions manifested in him. Tears started flowing from his eyes and he fainted in ecstatic love. When he came to, he realized that no other object could manifest such ecstatic symptoms in him than an object coming from his from Srimati Radharani, from his worshipable goddess. And Lalita Saki, she went to Kalpa Kunj to try and find this bracelet. And Lalita Saki is a very beautiful young girl. And she, in order to disguise, she wanted to go in disguise. So she dressed herself up as an old lady. And she saw Dukhi Krishna Das cleansing the area. And she asked him, my dear sir, my daughter-in-law, she has lost her ankle bracelet. Have you seen it lying around? And Dukhi Krishna said, I did find one ankle bracelet, but I don't think it belongs to you. Who are you? And she explained, my name is Radha Dasi. I am from a Brahmin family around this area. And Dukhi Krishna said, yes, I did find one bracelet, but yes, I would like you to take me to the person it belongs to. And so Lalita Devi, she took Dukhi Krishna to Srimati Radharani, and she actually Srimati Radharani she was very merciful when she saw Dukhi Krishna. Dukhi Krishna knew immediately that it belonged to Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani allowed Dukhi Krishna to put the ankle bracelet on her. Before Dukhi Krishna put the ankle bracelet on Srimati Radharani, he reverentially touched it to his forehead, and that bracelet, it made vertical lines, tilak on his forehead, impressed, permanent tilak. And at that point, Srimati Radharani, she said, from now on, your name is Shyamananda, one who gives bliss to the servant of Shyam, Srimati Radharani. So, yes, from that day on, he was known as Shyamananda. When he went back to see Jiva Goswami, because when he had touched the bracelet to his forehead, not only did he get the tilak, the permanent tilak on his forehead, but also his bodily complexion completely changed. It turned golden. And when Jiva Goswami saw him, he was shocked. He was like, what happened to you? And so Shyamananda explained, he said that, I found this bracelet and I put it on Sri Radhika, and she blessed me with the name Shyamananda. And Jiva Goswami embraced his Shiksha disciple, his Shishya, and in ecstatic love. He understood that, yes, he has become very advanced now. Not long after that, Sri Jiva, he wanted to organize a Maha Sankirtan festival and invite all the residents of Vrindavan. This was on the first Ekadasi of Kartik. And even such personalities as Lokanath Goswami, Burgaba Goswami, they all came to this festival because they could understand that something very important was going to happen. So all the devotees arrived on Ekadasi. Ekadasi, they were fasting. So they feasted on the holy name. They chanted Harinam Sankirtan throughout the whole night. Following morning, Jiva Goswami arranged for a very sumptuous feast to be offered to the deities. And then he sat all the Vaishnavas down and served them prasadam. After prasadam, some more kirtan went on. And then in the late afternoon, Jiva Goswami made an announcement. He said, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that the transcendental literature, the Bhakti Shastras, that be distributed all throughout the land, specifically Bengal. Now we have so much literature by the Goswamis, by Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. It is time for these shastras to be distributed. He said, as he said this, his eyes were scoping through the crowd of Vaishnavas, and then his eyes landed on his three illustrious disciples, Srinivas, Narottam, and Shyamananda. He said that these boys, these are my best students. They are thoroughly qualified to take this knowledge and distribute it throughout the land. Therefore, I beg permission. I beg for their masters to give them permission to go on this mission. And Lokanath Goswami, he stood up and he said, the Shastras proclaim that it is extremely difficult to find a bona fide guru. He said it is equally as difficult to find a good disciple. He said, I have one disciple, and he is the best disciple. I experienced great ecstasy, great Krishna prema in Narottam's association. I would not want to give it up for anything. But the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's is foremost. This is a most important mission. Therefore, he must go. I give my blessings. Gopal Bhatta Goswami stood up and he said, yes, I give my blessings to Srinivas may go. And obviously, Hriday Chaitanya was not personally present to give his blessings. So Jiva Goswami, acting as his Shiksha Guru, he gave Shyamananda blessings to go on this mission. At that point, Sri Jiva, he gave them honorific titles, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Shyamananda Pandit. So as His Holiness Devamrita Swami was so eloquently explaining the other night about how they took the ox cart full of Bhakti Shastras and they were plundered by the dacoit king, Virahena Vira. And they were completely distraught about the turn of events, the Bhakti Shastras being stolen. At that point, Srinivas Acharya, he, as we know, he went to Vishnupur to seek out the king, the suspect who had stolen the Bhakti Shastras. And Srinivas Acharya, he sent Narottam to Keturi, and he sent Shyamananda to Orissa. And it is by Shyamananda Pandit's vigorous, expert preaching that he transformed the whole of Orissa into Vaishnavas, into a Vaishnav state. So these personalities are extraordinary. It is described how Srinivas Acharya was the mercy incarnation of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Narottam Das Thakur was the mercy incarnation of Nityananda Prabhu, and Shyamananda Pandit was the incarnation of Advaita Acharya's mercy. And so we become greatly purified by hearing the glories of these great saints. so we can, when we hear about them, we can pray for their mercy, that we can experience some of this Anandam Bodhivardhanam, this ever-increasing ocean of bliss, the Sankirtan festival, the Sankirtan Yagya. And so I'll stop there. There's still some time left if any of the Vaishnavas have anything they'd like to share. By the way, I just want to explain about the story of the bracelet, Shyamananda Pandit finding Srimati Radharani's bracelet. There's I heard today 3 different versions of this story. So, details will change. There's some differences of opinions according to different acharyas. But the principle remains the same, that he received the mercy of Srimati Radharani and the tilak, permanent tilak on his forehead. And actually the followers of Shyamananda Pandit even today wear their tilak in that special way. So yes, do any of the assembled Vaishnavas have any comments they would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Despite your health, thank you so much again. For devotees, is there any questions or comments? You're most welcome to do so. Everyone seems to be satisfied. We'll ask His Grace Nitaipat Prabhu to please, pass the vote of thanks. Nitaipat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful time in association in taking us through the nectar of Gauridas Pandit and Shyamananda Prabhu, Shyamananda Pandit. I have really very, very enlightening. I have to say, we were literally in the pastime. At least personally, I can say I could see the pastime of Srimati Radharani giving her mercy to Shyamananda Pandit. You presented it so nicely. We can only express our heartfelt gratitude. And we hope and pray that you will give us more of your association and more Krishna Katha in the near future. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So maybe we can have a Nashinga prayer and then conclude. Nanvash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Is Saradhya Mataji there? He's not there. Maybe Stambha Prabhu, would you like to sing Nursing prayer, please? It's Radhesham here, Radhesham Dindasi. Please. I can't hear you, Prabhuji. You are mute.
You're on mute, Prabhu.
Okay, I haven't got any instruments here, but my hands will.
That's okay, Prabhuji. That's enough. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste.
You are again mute.
Yeah, I've unmuted the host. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Dayine Hiranya Kashipu Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsinga Yato Yamitato Nrsinga Bahe Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsinga Narasingha Madim Sharanam Prapade Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Madbhuta Shringham Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringham Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Shingham Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringham Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev 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 Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we've got His Grace Nityapat Prabhu. He's got some photos, the deities of Gauri Das Pandit. So he would like to
Oh really?
So maybe you can ask request either Kandamakan Prabhu or Namresh Prabhu to make him a co-host so that he can share the screen.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I'll try and share my screen.
Yes, please.
His Grace Stambha Prabhu can also share as we sort of go through these photos if Prabhuji recollects anything else. So as we heard from Prabhuji, Gauridas Pandit was actually Subal. And that is the house in Ambika Kalna of Gauridas Pandit. And these are the deities.
Wow.
As we so wonderfully heard, the deities actually ran off the altar. How amazing is that? So these were the deities hand carved, and as Prabhuji so nicely explained in Neem tree.
I heard as well that they give darshan like Banka Bihari Mandir, that they don't want the deities to run off the altar again, so the darshan is very quick.
Oh, Haribo. So wonderful. And that's the Samadhi of in Vrindavan of Gauridas Pandit. That's all I have to share. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you, Nityapat Prabhu, for sharing that wonderful photos. So we'll conclude here. Namresh Prabhu, do you want to make any comment, announcements?
No,